This is Character Crusade number 1.
You're listening to Character Crusade.
Greetings, Crusaders. You're listening to Character Crusade Skyrim. I'm Stu.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to talk about Skyrim today. Specifically, we are approaching Skyrim from the sort of, I guess, immersive, geeky roleplay angle. So we're not really going to talk about builds per se, but we're going to talk about characters we've created with an emphasis on why we play them the way that we do. Not really concerning ourselves with things like stats, whether or not we've got the most powerful armor or weapons, stuff like that doesn't really matter to us. The point is to create a character type with a background and a personality and a reason for living and a motivation, and trying to find a way to stick with that. So that's the plan. That is the plan for this podcast, and you're coming along for the ride, hopefully. You're going to see how it evolves over time. We've got some ideas for things we want to do in the future, but for now, it's just about getting started, frankly. So we're going to release this on YouTube. Hello to all of you listening to us on YouTube. It'll also be available on iTunes. So if you're out there on iTunes, or if you're on YouTube and want to help us out, go to iTunes and give us a rating or something like that. I hear that's good for your podcast. Is that correct, Matt?
Yes.
Okay.
High ratings are good.
High ratings are good. High ratings are good.
Good content is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So anyway, this podcast, I think, really is kind of an offshoot of what happened on YouTube with Couch Warrior, and specifically with the Aranis Arcana series that kind of took on a life of its own, right? And I think part of the reason that happened is that there was a lot of involvement by people who are fans of the story, and I tend to value their opinions and listen. So a lot of times I took ideas I heard there, or I responded to things I heard. I also spent a lot of time trying to one-up myself. So with each progressive episode, I tried to think of new and different ways to wow viewers. But what I realized along the way is that what really made that story powerful, I think, was the fact that it gave voice to a Skyrim character that for most of us is just a silent protagonist. You know, usually we're following along with our character, and this character is the hero in our story, but the character never says anything, never has a thought that anyone else hears except what's going on in her own head. And I think in a lot of ways, what I realized was that that story, hearing Fleet's voice, was sort of the fulfillment of, I think, what a lot of us feel, which is, man, if this character could talk, what would he say? What would he talk about? You know, what are his motivations? And so to me, that was kind of like the cool thing that I took away from that, was that, hey, you know, we're taking a character, like in so many other games, as a silent protagonist, and we're giving this character a voice. And now suddenly we've kind of opened this whole new dimension in the game. And I think that's what people responded to. Suddenly they weren't just looking over the shoulder of a character, but they were actually hearing what Fleet thought through his letters and journal entries. And eventually they were understanding what he was like by hearing voices of the people around him. So that's one of the things that you get a little bit of in the game, is you get a little bit of a sense for, you know, who your character is as Dragonborn by comments that people will make as you progress through the game. But one of the complaints we hear all the time is how certain areas of the game just don't really respond to who you are. I mean, you can be level 75 warrior and you can, you know, walk into your Vasker and they're still going to call you a whelp. You know, it doesn't matter how many dragons you've killed, and if you've been to Sovngarde and back and all this stuff, right? They're still going to call you a whelp. So I think one of the things that was kind of special about that story is I was able to massage the story how I wanted, and I was able to fix some of those things, and I was able to kind of weave the different parts, I guess, of the quest lines together in a way that sort of made logical sense to Fleet, and hopefully by extension to the audience. And I think that what was cool about that is it sort of opened my eyes anyway to the idea that, you know, one of the things that we can control in this game is how we craft our character and how we decide to play them. And that's where the individuality comes from. So this podcast is really all about taking a look at our characters. It's a crusade for characters, right? What are the things in game that we can control to make our character our own? And I think what's going to come out of this podcast are some really kind of fun discussions and amazing ideas that could help anybody enhancing their gameplay, whether you're, you know, playing a maxed out modded game on PC or just playing vanilla on console. There were a lot of elements of this that I did when I was playing on Xbox. So it's just a question of taking a look at what the full scope of your options are through either mods or DLC, and what can I do to weave all this together and make a story that's really my own. Does that resonate with anybody?
I think it resonated with a few people, but well, good case in point. That storyline actually started out on your Xbox, so I mean,
that's true.
You had no mods or any outside content other than what was available for download.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole first third of the story was probably on Xbox. I mean, so
kind of speaks well to being able to take that character concept and then start it off and build it towards something.
Yeah.
And you built up a pretty good cult following, and I think in part because they did like the story. It was a unique story. It was an interesting means of telling it. But also I think it resonated in that it helped others maybe look at their own characters differently.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I got a lot of great, emails from people and comments from people saying that they had adopted some of the things that I had done, right? Or thanking me for certain things, which really made me feel good, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I'm a freak for Skyrim. There's no doubt about it. I think if you're listening to this, if you've seen anything on my channel, you probably know that I'm a bit enthusiastic when it comes to Skyrim. And I think what I love the most about it is, especially on PC, and I'm going to talk about this a lot, just fair warning, I'm 100% convert to Skyrim on PC. And I am tired of the argument about, oh, it's cheat this, it's cheat that. No, it's not.
No, it is what you
Skyrim
make of it.
It is. It's a sandbox, and that's how I view it. It's a sandbox. It's not just a game. It's an opportunity for me to play in a sandbox that allows me to play this game over and over and over. The same quest lines, all of that stuff, all the same territory, and never have the same game twice. And I have played over the last 3+ years. I've probably played 12 or 15 different alts and had an amazing experience with every single one of them. So I would agree with that 100%. So
cool.
Well, maybe a little bit about us. Again, I'm Stu. I still answer to Couch Warrior, if you care to call me that. I think we're calling this podcast part of the Couch Warrior Network. So that's why we're releasing these on the channel, but also we're going to have, these out on iTunes as well. So you can get them on the road, listen to them in the car. You can listen to our sultry voices while you're out running. Ooh, yeah.
Smooth molasses.
Exactly. So, the point.
Just caused somebody to run into traffic. Nice job.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's palpitating right now. Do that again, Joe.
Oh, I don't know if I can. We'll give it a shot. You're listening to Couch Warrior something or another.
How about Character Crusade?
Character Crusade. I got my C's mixed up.
As you're wont to do. Anyway, so I'm Stu, Couch Warrior. I answer to that. You can contact Character Crusade through a website. So if you go to charactercrusade.com, on every single page of that site, basically, you're going to find a submission form where you can send us messages. And we've got some kind of preset subject categories there you can choose from. Feel free to send us feedback. We love it. Feel free also to send us your character roleplay quandaries. We love that. We would love to discuss them. So if you've got, if you're hitting a seam between quest lines or something like that, you're wondering how you're going to weave it together, you're looking for suggestions or ideas, and you want to bounce it off us, feel free to do that. Submit it through the form, and we may just address that topic in an episode. So feel free to do that. We're always looking for that kind of feedback. In addition, since we started this episode with some discussion of Aranis Arcana, there is going to be an episode of this podcast in the future where I am going to attempt to address any and all questions regarding the Aranis Arcana storyline and Fleet's character and all of the additional supporting characters from that story. So if you've got ideas for questions you've always wanted to ask about the story, why I did things the way that I did, how come I decided to put that annoying scratching noise in behind the journal entries, whatever you want to ask, you feel free, but you got to do it through that submission form. I'm not going to respond to messages in any other way but through that form. No semaphore, no smoke signals, no Morse code. It's got to be the form. So,
although probably one question you might not address right away, I'm going to guess. Couch, when you going to pick it up?
Oh, when am I going to start again? Yeah.
I have a feeling that's going to come up. So if you're looking to get that one answered, I'm going to guess you might be waiting a while.
You might.
So, but all things considered.
Yes.
We can always post cat videos.
We could.
We could.
Are there Skyrim cat videos?
Well, saber cat videos, yeah.
Well, there could be.
Those are a little bit more brutal than your traditional cat video, but
hey, it's all about being audience specific.
we could make a montage. A montage of maulings.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that's a bit about me. How about you, Joe? Tell us a bit about you.
All right. What do you want to know? Let's see.
Let's see. When did you get your start in Skyrim, sir?
When did I get my start in
Yes.
Skyrim? Oh, boy. I'm a little bit of a latecomer, honestly, compared to when it was released. Probably, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago.
Okay.
Quite honestly.
Okay. But you're playing on PC, right?
I've been playing on PC since day one. So
okay.
My PC is not a monster gaming rig. It's an HP laptop, Realtek audio, whatever comes standard in it. And I think right now I've got somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 130 plugins running.
Gosh, you're running the crap out of that game, though.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah, we're pushing the envelope.
Yeah,
so.
and you send me screenshots that look great. So
They're not bad.
You-
They could be better, but
you're doing something right.
I certainly am not going to try to throw in an ENB on that. So.
Oh, come on.
I'd love to, but it's not. It's going okay.
Yeah.
It's a little chattery at
Uh-huh.
times, but
Uh-huh.
it's all right. So
Well, one of the things
Um,
I admire about Joe is he runs just about every immersion mod you can imagine. So
I like the immersion mods.
yeah, he's got a lot
Uh,
of immersion mods going on. So we're probably going to have
I do.
we're going to hear a lot about immersion mods
Yeah,
in
I'll have
future
to
episodes.
collect my list and
Yes.
go over that sometime. But I mean, it's not
Mhm.
huge, but it's a fair amount,
Mm-hmm.
especially compared
Cool.
to the other kinds.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of bang for the buck out of those because they're kind of fun.
Well, that's good. I think it's important that we have some perspective on, kind of all sorts of rigs a person could use to run this.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. You don't
you
need
know.
Uber rig going, but
Mhm.
they're nice if you got it.
Yep.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yep, exactly. And I think, as a lot of people realize, for a long time, well, in fact, I think for the entire run of Aranus Arcana, after I transitioned to the PC, I was actually running the game on a Mac
Oh yeah,
in a virtual running Windows 7, which was crazy,
and
but
that
it
had
worked.
to do with how you were capturing the video and sound, wasn't it?
Well, kinda, yeah. I mean, I'm running it right now on a gaming laptop that's pretty beefy in Windows 8. But at the time, I mean, I was running it on a Mac, which was also, had to double as my work PC. So on that machine, I needed to be able to run iOS and Windows 7 and Windows 8. I mean, the nature of my job, I need to have multiple operating
Mhm.
systems. And so when it came time to actually install the game on it, I'm like, well, I guess it's a crapshoot. I could install it kind of anywhere. Where do I want to do this?
Right.
And so I just went with Windows 7, figuring it was probably more well supported at the time anyway. But like I say, I've been running it now on Windows 8 with no issues at all. Just runs
Good.
great. So
Cool.
yeah. Matt, tell us about you. He's rolling up here, folks.
All right. You may win the award for being the latecomer on the PC, but I definitely win because I haven't actually played Skyrim yet. To your
You win
comment,
the grand championship.
if there's a loser category, I'm in it. But there's one thing that's going to be really important about my gameplay is that everything that I've seen about Skyrim has to do with watching the whole program that Stu
yeah.
had put together. So playing through this game without all of these sort of pauses in the action to get the story, to hear the thoughts, it's not going to be there. So like I'm wondering if I have to run something next to it so I can hear Fleet talking. Because otherwise all I'm going to hear is the little juggling of, coins and horse hoof beats and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be installing it on an Xbox. It's not a brand new Xbox, but the thing has got a lot of space in it. I just want to start out and understand the nature of the game.
Sure.
And I think it'll be really fun to get back into the gameplay because I've just been playing racing games for a really long time. To get back into a character-based game that isn't about whether or not I've gone around the track the fastest and smeared everybody else by winning by
Yeah.
laps and laps.
Mhm.
It's totally different
Yeah.
approach. And considering the fact that I can't install it on my work laptop,
Mhm.
and I can't really install it on my other laptop here for reasons unbeknownst to me, I'm going to do it on the Xbox because I know that I've got a dedicated platform for that, and
Yep.
it should be kind of fun.
Well, this is wonderful, in my opinion, too, because there, again, is another perspective, right? So not only will we get the perspective of Matt as a new player coming in after the game has been out for as long as it has, but we'll get sort of the console perspective as well. And we'll get to talk about the vanilla version of the game, because I think a lot of the things we're going to discuss in this show are going to be things that will translate to the vanilla game, but could be a bit more challenging. So it'll give us an opportunity to
Right.
address some of those concerns as well. And I think the plan is that Matt is going to provide us with a segment every other episode where we're going to get his thoughts on the game as kind of a noob coming into it and experiencing some of the quest lines for the first time.
Like counting how many times I'm slaughtered.
Yeah, counting how many
Well-
times he's slaughtered. Yeah,
Well, I think it'll be fun
on
to get,
novice.
It'll be fun.
Thanks.
Hey,
Is there like an infantile mode?
Infantile mode.
Hey, now,
Is
let's-
there something below novice? I don't know.
There might
probably
be.
that's
There
probably
might
what I'm
be.
playing, but no,
I would like to see the list of mods that you're talking about, because
Oh,
when
yeah.
you talk about immersion mods,
Mhm.
I don't even know what that means. So
Okay, we're
I
starting
can
from
imagine,
ground zero,
right?
right?
But the thing is as you go
Uh-huh.
through it, I'm sure that there
Yeah.
are some other folks like myself who don't know. So as
Mhm.
we go through it, while we're talking about it, if we have a
Mhm.
chance to show some of those things, so I understand and appreciate the difference.
Mhm.
Down the road, maybe I will have a chance to move to the
Right.
PC version, and it would be nice to know
Yeah.
what do you get when you get there. But in the meantime, it'll just be
Right,
great
sure.
fun gameplay.
well, I think it'll be fun to get perspective because I know you've done first person
Oh yeah.
games and
Dun, dun, dun,
how
dun, dun, dun,
yeah
dun, 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 dun.
and how your thoughts and viewpoint of how different this one can be
Mhm.
because many first person shooter you have one option,
Mhm.
that's blow up the person in front of you.
Yeah.
You don't always have to do that option
Yeah.
in this game.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just kind of how it shakes out, but
Yeah. I think when I first started considering playing this game, I was a little bit unsure if I would like it because I've played shooters for so long that I had a hard time imagining that a game where I was swinging a sword could feel engaging, could
Mhm.
feel kind of visceral and all that stuff. I'm like, well, I'm just going to see this computer generated arm swinging back and forth. There's not going to be, it's just going to be button mashing. It's just going to be hack button mashing, right?
right.
But what I've discovered over time is that at the start, it was like that because I was literally like, oh my God, I'm going to die, and I'm like, you're just like hitting that button as fast as
Oh,
I
yeah.
could, trying to kill that skeever so I could live to game another day. Right.
Right.
But as I got accustomed to the controls and more comfortable in the world and stuff, and as we saw in some of the YouTube videos, I actually made an effort to try to find a way to approximate a combat style, right? And the game actually does let you do that. It's kind of amazing. If you really want to, you can build kind of an interesting fighting style. And you can do it in the vanilla game as well, but it certainly helps with mods to aid that as well, I've discovered. So
So can I ask a question?
Mhm.
When you were mulling that around in your head when you wanted to play, and you too, Joe, maybe you can give me a little, like in a sentence or two, what is it that really made you say this game instead of something else?
For me, it was seeing the game demo from E3 because in that game demo, they did a walkthrough it was an abbreviated walkthrough of Bleak Falls Barrow.
Mm.
And it was probably, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 minutes, something like that. But I just remember seeing there was a part of the video toward the end where there's been kind of this epic adventure, right? And the character steps out of the cavern into the daylight. And it was just this vast expanse of tundra covered in trees and wildflowers and distant mountains, and, there they are, is like walking out, and you're walking down through the grass, and, giants and mammoths are lumbering along and next to you and stuff like that. It was just kind of amazing. And then they're like, well, see that mountain over there? You can actually climb it. It's not just window dressing. I mean, this is an environment, a huge environment where everything is handcrafted, hand placed, and you can climb that mountain if you want and see what's at the top. And I thought, you know what? This is a game that I could really get into. And at that point, I hadn't even thought about the idea of PC and Creation Kit and all the other things that I could do. Now that I've gotten 3 years down the road and I've begun to discover what's possible, it's amazing to think ahead to the next version of this game, anticipating before it even comes out all the things I can do from the get-go. So for me, that's what it was. It was seeing that demo, I think, that did it for me. Joe?
Sure.
Oh boy. First and foremost, probably genre.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've always been drawn to the fantasy world, whether it was role playing, D&D, whatever, to basically almost a computerized version of those long weekend gaming nights of
Yes.
imagination. And
Oh yeah.
so it gave a visual to that without sacrificing the imagination piece
Right.
in an entirety.
Yeah.
So it was the genre at first, and I guess the visuals that went with it.
Right.
It's really is a stunning world space.
It is. It's a big departure from our days in college when you were playing Wizardry on the Apple IIe for like 2 weeks straight,
yes.
nonstop. Yeah.
Class is optional. Wizardry was not.
Yes, it's a shoebox full of 5 1/4 floppies, and you were just like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
was amazing.
Just 14.
Yeah. So,
We didn't just show our age a little bit by
Yeah.
chance, did we?
no, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all.
Anybody can still buy one of those Apple IIes. Totally.
Yes, they're collector's items.
Absolutely. And they're cheaper now. Well, maybe we should say more attainable.
There you go.
At least you weren't installing off of cassette tape.
Yeah.
True enough.
Well, we have that in common. So
right.
we cut our teeth on gaming back in junior high,
Yeah.
probably on D&D or
Yep.
high school.
Probably closer to high school for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So just so our audience understands, Joe and I have known each other for probably 30 years.
30 some odd years. Yeah.
30 some odd years. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools, even roomed together in college for a year or two. So we've done a lot of gaming over that time. So it's kind of crazy, actually.
Very true.
Yeah.
So fun.
Well, yeah, I would agree too. I mean, this was my first shot at fantasy genre in a video game. I've always been kind of dialed in to that through things like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
But I think it was the first time that I ever attempted it in a video game.
Okay.
And
I mean, I've done something like
you know.
Diablo. I played those,
Okay.
but
Yep.
that's a far cry from
Yeah.
in difference, just mechanics and everything.
Right.
And
No.
you're talking about immersion. The big difference of having that
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
deity
Really.
overlook
Mhm.
third person
Yeah.
as opposed to being
Gives that-
in it.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I did play a little bit of some of the Baldur's Gate
Okay.
series.
Yeah. Going way back.
And it just didn't do it for me. I couldn't get into it for some reason. It didn't
Well,
engage me. And like
It's
this
almost in part like you were saying. It's kind of almost that Qbert, blocky. you're on a grid, and
yeah.
you
But
just
you're
gotta
limited.
follow the grid. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Here
And if the
you're
point is to learn the Pac-Man pattern, then all of a sudden the game becomes less engaging because you know that there's mechanics behind it that'll sort of prevent you from having the fun that you want to have and explore.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and creating your own experience.
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely.
So.
And I totally get it. And playing Halo and everything like that, you know that you've got objectives and things to do and whatnot, but it sort of ruins the fun when all you're trying to do is just get the maximum points. If you got sort of the experiential side of it, which is what you see coming through some of the storytelling and the Let's Plays and stuff like that, there's more to it than just getting to a place and doing a thing and getting the coins and going on to the next place. This isn't orienteering.
Yeah. I mean, you can certainly play it like that, but I don't know why you would. Why?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're just trying to build up some experience through the game and understand what the mechanics are, fine. Okay.
At first, yeah, that
Mhm.
I could see
Mm-hmm.
following
Yeah.
the dialogue and just playing the story, but
Absolutely.
it doesn't take long where you figure out that
Mm-hmm.
there's more to it than that.
Oh, yeah. I think what we're going to discover through this podcast is that there are thousands of ways to approach this game, and each one is valid in its own right, but not everybody takes to every methodology, right? For those of us who are into role play and really want to maximize the story experience, we dote over this game. You know, I mean, if you really want to have that kind of experience, you need to invest a certain amount of time in doing your due diligence about what mods you're going to run and how to keep a clean game and how to, you know, I mean, how many times have you been on Google trying to figure out why you're getting a CDT, right? You know, like, why when I hit this particular spot, I passed this one tree and I crashed a desktop, you know? And so you're out on Google and you're trying to figure it out, and you're taking mods out of your load order and you're doing all this stuff. But we do it because we love the game. So
if there wasn't value, you wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
You'd either pull a mod out and not play with it, or close the game down.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of about that easy.
Yeah.
If you didn't like it, you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, role players, I think you get a sense for what we're going for here. This podcast is for you. There are plenty of other places that you can go if you're looking for content to get, you know, the best Nightblade build, or, you know, whatever that is. I think that for us, there's a different definition when it comes to best. So what we're going to do with this show is we're really going to try to pursue this, and we're going to dig deep. So if you're interested in coming along for the ride, prepare to dig deep. And what we're going to do is we've started out by creating a couple of new characters. I'm not going to call them builds. They're character types. They're character concepts. And Joe has created a new one. I've created a new one. And we're going to kind of give an update, I think, in every episode where these characters are at and what we've done to try to get these characters kind of down that road we're pursuing. Whatever that whatever that concept is, what are we doing with what's available in the game and what's available through mods to kind of further that concept. So that's really what this show is all about. If you're interested in supporting us, you can always go to charactercrusade.com and you can leave us a message, send us some feedback, ask us a question, anything like that. Other ways that you can support us, you can watch on YouTube, you can click on an ad, or even better, you can go to Patreon and you can support our Patreon campaign. If you're interested in doing that, $1 a month. If that's all you can give, that's awesome. That's awesome. But if you go and check out our Patreon page, you'll see that we've got a couple of different levels in there at which people can give, and we'll give some perks back. So check that out. We do appreciate that, because for us, that's recurring income, and all of that money we sink back into resources for the show. So if you are, interested in helping us out, there are a lot of ways that you can do it. The other thing that you can do simply is just, go out to iTunes and give us a rating, help bump us up the charts a little bit, or let a friend know. If you got a friend who's of like mind with us in this crowd, let them know who we are and turn them on to the podcast. So, well, dear listener, we've come to the end of another episode. A big shout out to Matt Kelly for production support and Media Savvy. We would also like to thank fans of the show and our YouTube channels for your faithful support and continued encouragement. You can contact us through our website, charactercrusade.com, as we've mentioned previously. And until next week, remember, it's not about the objective, it's about the journey. So go forth and experience. So if you feel like you need to, lean over and hack and cough or something like that, just go ahead. Throw a finger in the air and say,
Sinus alert. Sinus
Sinus
alert.
alert.
No. But what you should do really is to mark that and then do it right into the mic, because then we can sell those as sound effects later.
Oh,
Yes.
Because if we
Yeah,
can
look,
sell mods on
build our
Steam,
own little button bar.
we'll have Joe.
That is actually a very timely topic as of, what was it, last week? Last week?
Yeah.
They opened
Yeah,
up
they-
selling mods.
They started selling mods, and there's been a whole bunch of uproar about that. So,
Yeah.
See the ones I sent to you, or you could buy an Apple. Yeah, I sent you. I don't know which one of the 46 email addresses I have for you that I should be using. So
Pick one.
I sent it to several.
Okay.
But it talked
Well,
about some of them.
One of
It's
them's
part
bound
of-
to get there.
It's part of my strategy to hide from Matt. I just...
But they're all 5-alarm stew.
No, they're not.
At AOL.
Most
At CompuServe.
It's the BBS links. Yes, the
Yes.
most ridiculous Skyrim mods people are trying to sell on Steam. The Golden Potato mod for $9.99. The Extra Apple mod for $29.99. Microtransactions to buy the things that you would use to buy the things for $50. Chicken Companion for 49 cents.
Chicken
The
Companion.
Steam main menu replacer for 49 cents. And Extra Rubbish.
Extra Rubbish.
Yes, you can-
How much for Extra Rubbish?
Extra Rubbish is only $2.49.
What was the one for 50?
Oh, that's not the most expensive one yet, though, either. Microtransactions. Do you not have much time, or do you just want to get through the game as quick as possible? Well, you're in damn luck. I'm introducing microtransactions, an easy way to get any item as long as you work for it. All the money goes straight to charity. Me.
Huh.
I guess it's honest, but
Yeah.
Then there is the Epic Helgen Bear Overhaul for $99.99.
Epic Helgen Bear Overhaul. They must be talking about the bear in the cave.
Makes the
Oh,
bear
that
in
could be.
Helgen Keep caves much
Yep.
larger, resulting in a more challenging, realistic, dramatic, immersive, and lore-friendly final battle.
well, to be quite honest, when you hit that thing, you don't have much to.
Yeah,
much
well, that's
to-
true.
Much in your inventory, so
You're lucky if you've got like an
you got a
Imperial
crappy
sword
bow and an
that-
imperial
Yeah,
sword, and
yeah.
maybe some army you picked up.
I know. Well, I don't understand how making the bear gigantic makes
Makes it
that
more-
realistic.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting.
And I despise the phrase lore friendly because I don't think there's anyone out there who really knows what lore friendly
Well, there's
means.
one guy, and he works for Bethesda.
Yeah, he works for Bethesda. He's the lore master, but apparently no one's consulting him. So
If you can sell the golden potato for $2.99, you can sell anything.
I would submit that the golden potato is not lore friendly because clearly, I mean, what I've seen in game, they look like russets.
They're just rather not.
So
Kinda
this
like-
it's $9.99. This downloadable expansion for the Elder Scrolls Skyrim adds a unique and extraordinary item to the game, the golden potato, found sitting upon the well in the heart of Whiterun. The golden potato adds a unique experience to the Skyrim gameplay. It's a collectible, a food item, a potato, and golden. The golden
you
potato
know,
mod is
you know
a
what this
true
is.
experience you never had.
This is people who are just making an example.
Oh, yeah.
And they're saying selling mods behind a paywall is such a bad idea that I'm going to sell the golden potato for $29 or whatever it is.
And some schmuck will buy it.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
are
it's
schmucks, but
like
some schmuck will buy it.
making a point, right?
What was that
Oh my
app that
God.
they sold on the iPhone? $999 for like the Diamond app, and all it did was it showed a diamond.
I wonder how many people bought it, if
Like-
anyone.
Like hundreds of people. Because
Hundreds?
They wanted to be one of the only people that had this app early on. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Just all of a sudden made me wish that I knew how to make graphics, and that'd be it.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
wait, I do. God, I just forgot how to publish them to the iTunes store.
well, we all have
Oh,
PowerPoint. I
boy.
mean,
Well, there's paint.
I can- oh yeah, there's
There's
Microsoft
always
Paint too.
Well,
Yeah.
unless you have a
But not
Mac.
the
It's
new
a
version of Paint.
fallback.
It's got to be the old version of Paint.
Mhm. Well, I
Makes it
use
hard, painful.
I use Paint exclusively for all my Skyrim textures that I make, and it works out great. Beautiful,
Fantastic.
beautiful textures,
And so easy to use.
and so easy to use. Yes, so intuitive.
Just
Saving
practically does
everything
itself.
As a
Yeah.
high-resolution bitmaps is great.
So it should be-
Uh,
Oh God.
okay,